Canada has 10 provinces and 3 territories, and today we're going to look at every single one of them and rank them based on my vibe of them. I'll be looking at some history, the biggest cities, the biggest industries, and its economic power inside the country. And we're starting off west with British Columbia. British Columbia stood as one of the final frontiers of North American exploration and settlement, but its rise in the latter half of the 20th century was nothing short of extraordinary. Transforming into a powerhouse province of Canada, it surged ahead of many provinces in terms of population, economic prowess, and overall growth. At its heart lies 2 vibrant urban centers. First, we have Vancouver, a majestic metropolis and a proud harbinger of prosperity. As one of Canada's largest port and a gem of Western North America, Vancouver's magnetic allure draws people and trade from far and wide. The city pulsates with a cosmopolitan rhythm, embracing a fusion of culture and becoming a melting pot of diversity. And then there's Victoria. Nestled on the southeastern tip of Vancouver Island, standing regally as the provincial capital, Victoria has a charm that echoes of a bygone era. This city captivates all who wanders its quaint streets. Steeped in history yet embracing modernity, Victoria is a testament to the seamless blend of tradition and progress. Throughout its history, British Columbian society has demonstrated remarkable fluidity, with a majority of its population born outside the province borders. This trend has only intensified in recent times, where international and interprovincial migration have become dominant drivers of population growth. Since Canada's Confederation in 1867, British Columbia has consistently been a magnet for immigrants, second only to Ontario since the early 20th century. Interprovincial migration has also played a significant role in the province's expansion, particularly with an influx of individuals moving from the neighboring prairie provinces since the 1930s. The allure of British Columbia lies not only in its diverse and captivating landscape, but also in its inviolable climate, particularly in the greater Vancouver area, Vancouver Island, and the Okanagan Valley. Additionally, the province's robust economy has been an attractive draw for both retirees seeking a picturesque lifestyle and job seekers in pursuit of opportunities. It has a population of just over 5 million people and has a GDP of around $350 billion, giving them a GDP per capita of around $67,000, which is around $2,000 above the national average. I think it's fair to place British Columbia in the S tier. It's a beautiful province filled with beautiful landscapes. Let's move on to the first territory of this list, Yukon. During the early 1870s, the allure of gold discoveries in the tributaries of the Yukon River enticed prospectors to venture into the area. However, it was on August 17, 1896 that 3 intrepid prospectors, George Washington Carmack and his Tagish partners, Skookum Jim Manson and Tagish Charlie, struck it rich in Bonanza Creek, a small tributary of the Klondike River, near its meeting point with the Yukon. This monumental discovery set off the famous gold rush of the late 1890s. It propelled the nearby settlement of Dawson into a bustling city, teeming with approximately 25,000 hopeful souls. In a bid to improve access to the area, the construction of a 110-mile narrow gauge railway, known as the White Pass and Yukon Route, was swiftly undertaken, connecting the port of Skagway, Alaska, to Whitehorse, situated on the upper reaches of the Yukon River. Recognizing the rapid growth and potential of the region, the Canadian Parliament took decisive action in 1898, granting it separate territorial status by separating it from the Northwest Territories. However, the Klondike boom proved to be fleeting, lasting only a few years. By 1900, many of the individual miners, known as the Stampeders, had given up their dreams of striking it rich, and were departing from Yukon. The gold mining industry underwent a transformation, with companies introducing large-scale mechanical mining techniques to maximize output. As a result, the population saw a sharp decline, dwindling from a high 27,219 in 1901 to 8,512 in 1911, to reach a low point of 4,157 in 1921. In Yukon, the majority of its population, about 2/3, calls the charming city of Whitehorse home. This vibrant urban center bustles with life and modern amenities, offering a taste of city living in the heart of the wilderness. Yet, amid the wilderness, you'll discover some hidden gems like the historic city of Dawson and picturesque villages such as Old Crow, nestle well above the Arctic Circle. These places are not just havens of natural beauty, but also retain an enchanting old-world appeal that captivates the soul. Throughout Yukon, you'll encounter various centers of mining and transportation, such as Whitehorse, Watson Lake, and Mayo. These towns mirror the familiar landscapes of other communities in Western North America, offering all the comforts and conveniences one might expect. From popular fast food joints to diverse retail franchises, these towns create a sense of familiarity, making visitors feel right at home even in the far reaches of this vast and wild land. The population of this territory is around 40,000 people, and with a GDP of $3.7 billion, that equates to around a GDP per capita of $85,000, much higher than the national average. But this territory does lack economic opportunity. That's why I'll place it in the A tier. Back down south to the prairies, let's talk about Alberta, Canada's beef province, also known as Canada's Texas. For over 10,000 years, the land we now know as Alberta has become home to various Native American groups who lived in harmony with nature. However, in the 1750s, European explorers arrived on the province as the fur trade expanded across the vast expanse of western North America. The Hudson's Bay Company and the Northwest Company, rival trading powerhouses, set up trading posts along the major northern rivers, the Athabasca, North Saskatchewan, and Peace Rivers, in the latter part of the 18th century. Throughout this period from 1821 until 1870, the Hudson's Bay Company held sway over the region after merging with the Northwest Company. The area was inhabited by a mix of First Nation people, Métis, people of mixed Indigenous and European heritage that is, and a small number of European fur traders, missionaries, and settlers. In 1870, a new chapter unfolded as settlement gradually spread across southern Alberta, with a focus on ranching as a mainstay of the economy. Tragically, the First Nation populations had been significantly impacted by European diseases, and the decline of the buffalo, which had been their primary sources of sustenance. The most densely populated area of Alberta is the corridor that runs from Edmonton to Lethbridge, through Calgary and Red Deer. The lowest densities average about 1 person per square mile. There in the north, foothills and mountain regions, which together occupy about 3/4 of the province. Alberta has experienced a generally high rate of population increase since the end of World War II, although an economic downturn in the 1980s and early 1990s brought slower growth for a time. By the turn of the 21st century, the province was again experiencing rapid population increases. It has a population of around 4.2 million people and a GDP of $374 billion, giving it a high GDP of $84,000. Politically, it is a very conservative province along with the other prairies, and its economy is very dependent on oil. However, they have began diversifying their economy. I'll be placing them in the A tier.
Matchroom Billiards is Saskatoon's premier billiard hall. Enjoy our club activities, leagues, and tournaments in a bright and pleasant atmosphere. Matchroom Billiards is a fully licensed billiard room with video games, a CD jukebox, concession stand,
Continuing
and a pro
eastwards,
shop.
we have the flat province of Saskatchewan, and yes, that is a mouthful. Talking about mouthful, this province economy has always been closely tied to extractive industries, with a focus on various resources such as fur, fish, forest products, agricultural goods, and minerals. However, a significant characteristic of this economic reliance is that the majority of these products are consumed outside of the province and often beyond Canada's borders. This creates a unique vulnerability for Saskatchewan, making it one of the most economically exposed regions in the world. Due to this reliance on external markets, the province has required substantial government support to maintain stability and growth internally. Consequently, Saskatchewan's economy has never truly operated within a pure free enterprise system. Instead, it has seen the establishment and active participation of public enterprises and mixed public and private ventures from its early days of development. These measures were put in place to ensure a stable economic foundation and promote growth, allowing the province to navigate the challenges posed by its dependence on global markets. The interplay of public and private endeavors has shaped Saskatchewan's economic landscape, helping it withstand external fluctuations and fostering a resilient economic environment. The historical roots of Alberta and Saskatchewan are deeply intertwined, with significant territorial changes. In 1803, the Louisiana Purchase saw a portion of what is now Alberta and Saskatchewan transferred from France to the United States. However, in 1818, the U.S. relinquished control of the area to Britain. During this time, much of what is now Saskatchewan was part of Rupert's Land under the dominion of the Hudson's Bay Company. The company claimed rights to all the watersheds that flowed into the Hudson's Bay, encompassing major river systems like the Saskatchewan River, Churchill River, Assiniboine River, Souris River, and Qu'Appelle River. In the late 1850s and early 1860s, scientific expeditions led by John Palliser and Henry Yule Hind ventured into the prairie region, exploring and documenting its vast landscapes. The year 1870 brought significant change as Canada acquired the territories of the Hudson's Bay Company. In response, the Northwest Territories were formed to govern the vast regions between British Columbia and Manitoba, establishing a cohesive administration for the area. On September 1, 1905, Saskatchewan achieved a significant milestone when it officially became a province, and the inauguration day followed on September 4th. The province political leaders were filled with a sense of ambition and optimism, proclaiming that Saskatchewan's destiny was to emerge as Canada's most influential province. With this vision in mind, Saskatchewan embarked on a bold and ambitious program to build the province's identity and prosperity. The foundation of this endeavor was rooted in its Anglo-Canadian culture and the cultivation of wheat for the export market. Wheat production became a driving force behind the province's economic growth and development. During this period, the population of Saskatchewan experienced a remarkable surge, soaring from 91,000 in 1901 to an impressive 492,000 by 1911. This extraordinary growth was largely fueled by the influx of immigrants, particularly farmers from diverse backgrounds, including Ukraine, the United States, Germany, and Scandinavia. These newcomers brought with them their unique traditions, language, and customs. However, as the province welcomed these diverse settlers, efforts were made to integrate and assimilate them into the fabric of British Canadian culture and values. The province has a population of 1.1 million and a GDP of $88 billion, giving it a GDP per capita of $74,000, again much higher than the national average. I'll put it in the B tier. Going north, and we have the much spoken about Northwest Territories. Now, the history of the Northwest Territories is closely tied to the formation of the Hudson's Bay Company, also known as HBC, in 1670 through a royal charter. It granted it a monopoly over Rupert's Land, which is the present-day Northwest Territories, which were located to the northwest of Rupert's Land and were known as the Northwestern Territory. Although not officially part of Rupert's Land, the HBC regularly utilized the region as part of its extensive trading area. The Treaty of Utrecht solidified British control over the Northwestern Territory, as the French relinquished their claim to the Hudson's Bay coast, making the British the sole European power with practical access to the region. The Northwest Territories became a focal point for European explorers, seeking new trade routes, including the elusive Northwest Passage. Fur trading and exploration missions brought Europeans to the area, with notable Arctic expeditions like the Copper Mine expeditions, which was launched in the 19th century. In 1867, a significant development occurred when the first Canadian residential school opened in Fort Resolution within the Northwest Territories. This marked the beginning of a troubling chapter in Canadian history, as several other residential schools were subsequently established across the territory. This region would eventually have the highest percentage of students enrolled in residential schools compared to other parts of Canada. The residential school system had a profound and negative impact on Indigenous communities, leading to the loss of cultural identity and other lasting consequences. Indeed, the Northwest Territories holds a unique distinction in Canada, as one of only 2 jurisdictions where Indigenous peoples form the majority of the population. The other jurisdiction with this distinction is Nunavut. In the Northwest Territories, Indigenous peoples constitute an essential and vibrant part of the social fabric, accounting for 50.4% of the total population. The population of the territory is around 41,000. With a GDP of just under $5 billion, it has the second highest GDP per capita, standing at close to $110,000. I'll place the Northwest Territories as a B tier. Our final territory is Nunavut. The history of European exploration in the area now known as the Canadian Arctic and Baffin Island dates back to the 16th century, with the earliest written historical account recorded in 1576 by the English explorer Martin Frobisher. Or Frobisher, I'm not too sure. I'll call him Frobisher, okay? Anyway, Frobisher was leading an expedition in search of the elusive Northwest Passage, a hoped-for sea route through the North American continent to Asia. During his voyage, Frobisher came across what he believed to be gold ore around a body of water that came to be known as the Frobisher Bay, located on the coast of Baffin Island. Excited by the prospect of discovering valuable resources, Frobisher's expeditions collected what they thought was gold ore. However, it later turned out to be worthless. Despite the disappointment of not finding precious minerals, Frobisher's expeditions did make a significant historical achievement. They made the first recorded European contact with Inuit, the indigenous people who inhabited the region. In the following years, other explorers continued to venture in the Arctic in search of the Northwest Passage. Notable figures such as Harry Hudson, William Baffin, and Robert Bylot followed in Frobisher's footsteps, each making their own contributions to the European understanding of the Arctic landscapes and its people. With a population of 36,000 and a GDP of $4.6 billion, Nunavut has the highest GDP per capita of the country, with $118,000. So the disparity in the province is large, with small communities largely living in poverty. Nunavut is sadly going to be in a C tier for me. And now on the next video, we venture out eastwards and talk about the biggest provinces such as Ontario and Quebec and the Maritimes. So make sure you're subscribed and notifications on so you don't miss out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.